Hello, my name is Dynahlee Padilla. I am a alumna of 2019 and I'm also a freelance writer. I have here today Stephanie Whiteman, an alumna of 2012 with us. So thank you so much for being here.
No problem, no problem. Anytime.
Yes, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to us.
All right. So, like you said, I'm Stephanie Whiteman. I'm an alumna of 2012, technically.
Okay.
I was in New Paltz between 2018 and 2012, but I did not graduate. Life happened, but I went back and I graduated in 2017. Um, and I went for a degree in psychology. I ended up double majoring in psychology and Black studies. And now I'm currently a New York City public school teacher.
Amazing. That's a lot. So I guess my first question then to you is like, what even made you think about New Paltz as a school? Like, I'm curious, how did you get there?
Okay, so honestly, I'm from the Bronx.
Too.
Growing up, I was always the smart kid, but I didn't always make the best choices. Middle school was very rough for me. I ended up going to a very small high school, a charter school, right when charter schools kind of first started in New York. And I was lucky enough to have amazing teachers there. I had a college counselor there. My junior year, I just didn't even know what I wanted to do. And she had me apply to a couple of state schools, a couple of city schools. And I was waitlisted for New Paltz at first. And I was like, okay. And then I got off the wait list and my college counselor was just like, you're going to love it. Just go. So I didn't step foot on New Paltz campus until orientation. I went in completely blind, but it was totally worth it. I don't regret it at all.
Awesome. So my next question then is, since you mentioned you technically are an alumna of 2012, but you conferred in 2017, and like you said, life happens. Is there anything in there that you could share, like golden nuggets about life happening and you still going back in 2017 to get your degree?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, I never even saw myself like leaving home, attending college away. So I wasn't fully prepared when I entered. I did have EOP as a support system, but I was also very hard-headed and I needed to learn things the hard way. When I left in 2012, I was only 20 credits away from a degree, but my GPA was like out of the window.
Mm.
And then I had a son during my time off. And that was like all right, if you're not going to get it together for this baby, then you're never going to get it together. So he was like that fire that I needed to like get it together. So in order to get back into New Paltz, I attended 3 different city colleges to like take different credits, get a good enough GPA to kind of like beg New Paltz to take me back. And it worked. So they accepted me and I got all A's in my remaining classes at New Paltz. While working in New York City, I used to commute up and I was a mom. I was working full time and I made it happen, So I just feel my takeaway from that is when you want it enough, like the obstacles won't matter. Because in 2008 to 2012, you would have thought it would have been easier for me. I didn't have any children. I did not have a full-time job. But it just wasn't the right moment for me. So it's never too late. When the urge comes and that desire comes for you to better your life, just do it. I'm having trouble hearing you. Oh, my watch.
I'm wondering then, like, that's amazing. Like, you didn't let the obstacles stop you. And like you said, it's never too late. Like, if you really truly want something, you're gonna go get it no matter what age, what's happening in your life. It really starts with you, and that's what you're saying. And I'm just wondering, like, what made it sort of hard to do that from 2008 to 2012? Because you also mentioned, like, well, you would have thought it would have been easier, but in turn for you, like you said, it just wasn't your time. So
a couple of things. So first of all, I take responsibility for not doing what I had to do at that time. But at the same time, I give myself grace, based on my life experiences. I'm the eldest of 5, the first daughter to go away to college. And I was pretty much on my own because my mom had 4 other kids to look after. My biological father's never really been in my life. So I had no one checking on me.
Okay.
So I kind of was able to get away with failing classes and no one was checking, you know? So I didn't have anybody to check if I was on the right track. So I was able to fall off more further and further. I say another thing is I was sometimes intimidated in some of my classes because the community I'm from that's very underprivileged, underserved, I felt super smart in that area and that around those students, you know, because unfortunately, you know, the cards are stacked against us. But when I got to New Paltz, I was no longer the smartest girl in the room, you know, and my language and every time I speak, people are like, you're from the Bronx? And that was kind of intimidating. And, you know, not being able to prioritize my academics over social life. I didn't want to miss one event. I was at every event. So it was a combination of a lot of things.
I mean, it's especially like as a freshman, you're sort of like, I'm coming from the Bronx too, and what you're talking to me about reminds me of my high school experience because I went to a small middle school in the Bronx. Literally, our graduating class was 60 students because
my graduating class was that small too.
It was only 5 classes. It was like a startup middle school that like was part of an elementary, and it was the top floor and all these different things. And so I totally get you, and it's amazing that you were able to get your degree anyway. So
yes, awesome. I did.
Awesome. But anyways, you also mentioned that you are an educator, but you also own, right? You founded something in the Bronx, a tutoring center. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So my whole life I've been like a Jane of all trades. I had my foot or hand in something and everything, right? So I always knew I wanted to be some sort of business owner, but at my core, like I'm not a capitalist. So I always felt like I want my business to be meaningful. I don't want to feel like I'm selling people things they don't need, you know, like stuff. So then, because life happened, I ended up teaching. I love it. After New Paltz, I got a master's in education. Amazing. And I'm a teacher in New York City. So I'm like, I have this degree and I want to start a business. Why don't I start a tutoring business? And I have a friend actually from New Paltz who started a candle making business. And we were talking and I was like, you know, I need it to be just right. I need to have X, Y, and Z in order. And she said, Stephanie, just start. You'll perfect it along the way. Just start. And I started my business about 3 months ago. And within the first month, I was overbooked. And now I've expanded my business where I manage 3 other tutors. I collect donations to give free tutoring to certain students. It's just been, I can't believe it's only been 3 months, but it's been an unbelievable experience thus far.
Wow, 3 months. So what are you teaching? What are you tutoring? What's your age group for students?
So when I first started it, I wanted to be open. I didn't know who would gravitate towards me. So I was like 2 years old up to 5th grade because I'm an elementary school teacher. I teach 4th grade currently. Before I was a 4th grade teacher, I was a paraprofessional, which is like a teacher's assistant in kindergarten and 1st grade. And I really love that early learning period where they're learning how to read. Like for some reason, that part of education, I gravitate towards it. I think it's because when kids start learning how to read, that joy they feel is like unexplainable. But I opened it up to anybody in elementary school, but most of my children are like kindergarten, 1st grade who are struggling readers, and their parents are like, you know, I want to fix it now before it gets more challenging. But I do have children up to 5th grade.
Wow. Okay. That's really awesome. And it's only been 3 months. So, and you're booked. So like, that's really cool. So because of that, I'm wondering then for other students out there and people who like want to sort of join their passions, but also be an entrepreneur and an educator and all these things, like, what is your advice for someone trying to start up something like that, bringing all their passions together, but at the same time also helping the community? Because that's exactly what you're doing.
Yes. So the first thing I would say is don't doubt yourself and use your gifts, right? I know I wanted a business, but I didn't want to sell things, right? So I'm like, I have an education degree and I don't hate my job. Like, you know, some people are like, oh, I can't wait of course we all need a break. We look forward to weekends, but I don't dislike what I do. So I was like, I can do something that is an easier transition and it doesn't feel like two separate worlds, you know? Like it doesn't feel like I clock out at 5 and then clock into my business. You know, it kind of all flows. Things I learn at work, I transfer into my business. Things I learn in my business, I transfer into work. I get advice from my colleagues at work for my business and vice versa. And just start. But don't start if you're not ready to give it your all. I don't think you need a perfect starting plan, but start and know that you have to be flexible. Be open to changing your initial plan.
That's really, really good advice. Given that you said being open and being flexible, and the fact that you use some of the skills from your educator job to this tutoring and founding job, like what are some of those things that you're bringing to the table, like you mentioned?
So my degree is in general education with an extension in special education. And my previous experience was in a special education classroom. So although I don't work in it right now, all that experience still helps all my students, because although it's a general education class, all of my students learn differently. So I have that knowledge that no child learns the same, and it helps me with my tutoring kids. Especially I have a set of twins that I teach that are completely different. So that kind of experience in the classroom helps me look at them as individuals versus like, oh, you guys are twins. This will be a piece of cake. No, it's a challenge, a different challenge for each of them. Another thing is kind of using what you have and not trying to reinvent the wheel. So what works in the classroom can sometimes work for my business, and I don't have to try so hard to be so different. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use what you have. Use the resources you have at hand, because it'll save you money and it'll save you time.
For sure. That's really good advice, especially just thinking about, okay, like what resources do you have? And in reality, yes, start, but also start when you know you can like really put your energy and your time into it, because you don't want to like have to give up because you feel overwhelmed in a sense, and then also be ready for it to be overwhelming, because at times it will get that way.
Yes, and you don't want to give up when your service is supporting other people, especially young children. In my case, like I can't give up now. You know, there's like 15 kids who I'm tutoring every week or every 2 weeks who are counting on me. I can't give up now.
Absolutely. That's your why.
Absolutely.
So what is it called? What is this tutoring service called?
So my tutoring service is called Early Learning with the Works. So the name came about with the works just because, like I said, I was always like Jane of all trades. So like with the works technically means like a range of possibilities. Like if you order a burger with the works, it has everything, right?
Yes, that's a perfect way to say it.
It has everything. So I see myself as that person. Like I could do it all if I wanted to, you know? And then I kind of spelled it phonetically like different, like it's with the works, for 2 reasons. One, as an ode to like my Bronx accent.
Yep.
And 2, because when children are learning how to spell, that's how they would write it. And I would be so proud if they wrote with the works that way. I'd be like, oh my God, that is so good. You're hearing all the sounds. Nice try. So that's the reason behind the name.
I really love that. I'm so happy that you explained that, because I was wondering, I was like, WITDA, like that totally sounds like I could hear that. Like, I hear my dad saying, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to whip up a burger with the works. What do
With
you
the
want?
works.
So
Exactly.
I totally get that. And I love that it also plays, it like reflects teaching, you know, how students learn and listen and start writing when they first learn how to do all these things, which is, as an educator for you, it's like eye-opening, like, wow, like I'm teaching them how to do this and they're getting it.
And they're getting it. Yep.
That's super cool. Cool. So I get another thing then that I have is like, what made you found your own tutoring center? Because it's not easy to sort of just think of an idea and then be like, I'm gonna go for it and like actually start it from the ground up as the owner of this whole thing. So tell us about that.
I think a big part of it is social media, in the sense that it connects you to a lot of people on your phone. So I follow so many female entrepreneurs, women who decide like, I'm gonna just go for it, and using social media as a platform to promote yourself, to find your audience. I think that's a big part of it. Like it's like, why do I have to go work for another tutoring company that doesn't really have my same vision, my same mission? Let me just start it on my own. I think that's part of it. And just following so many women who are creating their own path made me feel like, well, so then I can do it too.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And you also said, coming from the Bronx, you're the oldest. Did that also have an effect on, okay, I need to make this here in my hometown for this community?
Absolutely. So I currently live in the same neighborhood I did as a kid.
Wow.
And I work in the same district where I went to as a kid. And like, that's so special to me. And even people say, you know, you can make more money tutoring kids from Westchester. And it's like, that's not the point.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about the money.
It's not, you know, like that's part of it, you know, because it's true. We want to escape. We want to have generational wealth. We want to escape poverty. We want to change our financial family history. And of course, I get that. But I want to do that in a way that I'm proud of, and not in a way that was just for money, you know? I feel like it can be a nice, happy middle place. Mm-hmm. And with that, I still also have guilt. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I could just tutor everyone for free, you know? And it's hard. It's like it's like if I have two different people on my shoulder, you know? But I am finding a middle ground. I'm finding a way that I feel like I'm giving back. I have actually a new Paltz alum reached out to me randomly and said, oh, my family and I donate money every year around the holidays. Could we donate money to you so you could get free lessons? And my heart like dropped. I was like, yes. And then I told her, I said, you know, when I started this, I kept thinking like, you know, once I'm really successful, I'll do something really big for the community. You know, in the future, I'll be able to give back. And she kind of motivated me to give back now. Like, I don't have to wait till I've reached certain financial accolades to give back. We could give back in our everyday life. So I matched her donation, what she donated. I'm also matching it and giving free tutoring sessions. And then I put it out there for Giving Tuesday, and I received donations for 15 additional classes, which is like, I'm like so shocked. Like my heart, I don't even have the words to express how excited I am. But so cool. Yeah.
You talk about that New Paltz network, honestly. Like just putting it out there on social media, someone messaging you.
Yes. Out of nowhere. Like that's what I'm saying. Social media, it has a bad name sometimes, but when used correctly, it could be very beneficial.
Absolutely. So, and then another one of my questions then in regards to sort of just like this New Paltz network and everything. I mean, how did New Paltz shape you to get to this moment in your life?
Well, my best friends are from New Paltz, so that's one thing. My friend that started a candle business, her name is Naisha Chance. I I can't remember. She's a couple of years ahead of me. So she might be like class of 2010. She has a candle business. She definitely pushed me to just start. She said, you know what, just start. She said, I wanted a candle. I couldn't find it. So I made it myself.
I love candles. So I'm all about that.
Yes. Iron Mermaid candles. My shameless plug.
Sounds good.
And I love candles too. And then, so that definitely molded me. My other best friend from New Paltz was actually one of my residents. I was an RA, and we became best friends. And, you know, we have similar stories as being New Yorkers and, you know, being counted out and then making it to college and having family that can't really relate. And now we're best friends. Been to my wedding. New Paltz, I noticed, like, no matter where I go, I have a connection to New Paltz. Elizabeth, I met her on a trip in DR.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we're like, what? New Paltz? It was like that Spider-Man meme. We were like, hey. So New Paltz, just for some reason, always, the town, especially, like, if I want to get away for a weekend, I feel like that's a place, a safe place for me to go back and, you know, relax. New Paltz, my majors, Black Studies, psychology. People could say, like, I'm not working in my field, but I'm applying all of that knowledge into education, and especially into educating students of the Bronx. My own personal identity, my majors has so much to do with. So they definitely shaped who I am today.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. I'm hearing best friends. I'm hearing, you know, relationships, friendships. I'm hearing all that helping you, push you to get into these various careers. Like you said, you have many, many hats.
Yes.
So that is awesome. So to wrap this up then, because you know, you kind of already said in a way who you're grateful for at New Paltz, but is there any like professor or advisor or someone else who is also a friend or a colleague from New Paltz that you want to give a shout out to, and why?
Yes. So Dr. Karanja Carroll, he's not at New Paltz anymore, but he was my advisor for Black Studies, and he remained my advisor even when I left New Paltz, and I kept saying, my grades are too low, they'll never take me back. He was saying, yes, they would. Go take this class, apply, write your letter, you can do it, you can do it. I did it, I got into New Paltz. When I left New Paltz, I was told that my GPA was way too low and there'd be no grad program that would accept me. He said, that's a lie, you'll find a place, someone will take you, apply. Here I am, I have a master's degree. I'm in my second year teaching for the Public of Education, New York City Department of Education, and I'm a business owner. Dr. Gare from the psychology department, when I wrote to New Paltz to get back in, he said, of course, I'm gonna give you a try. Of course, I'm so happy. I'm happy to give you this opportunity. Like, and when I graduated, he made like a special little note in his speech about my experience, and I'll never forget it, you know, that he gave me a chance and then was able to see it through, that it was worth giving me that chance. So I appreciate him. EOP, you know, Education Opportunity Program, I appreciate them as well. They gave me a lot of chances, even though I was hard-headed.
I love it. I love how honest you are. And it's really, really awesome that these different support networks sort of, like you said, saw you through and gave you chances. And you didn't take it for granted. So that's really beautiful. And it's exciting. It's exciting that, you know, you still have this like gratitude for them. And I'm sure they remember you, of course. And it's just really cool to see that growth from Bronx to New Paltz to back to the Bronx. So that's really, really awesome. And thank you. I really, really appreciated this conversation. And just to wrap up, I mean, before we go, do you want to do that shameless plug, add your website, whatever you want to do to get people to, like, you know?
Yes. So I don't have a website yet. I will, but my Instagram is Early Learning WDW. Perfect. And you can reach me at Stephanie at earlylearningwdw.com. with any questions, or send me a DM, because, you know, I'm not ashamed of Instagram and social media.
Awesome. And lastly, is there anything else you want to share with us today?
No, not anything I want to share, but I feel like my time at New Paltz is not done. Maybe in the future I'll be like a professor, or I'll be an advisor, or I'll help students like me who maybe didn't feel like they could make it at the time, but then find a way to make it.
That's great. Well, hey, everybody listening out there, she's ready to be back in the Paltz. I totally feel you. I graduated in 2019, so like a year ago, but I still feel like, you know, it's not over. Like, look at us doing this right now.
Yes.
But anyways, thank you so much for sharing your story. Of course, it's been a pleasure. We had laughs, and, you know, again, everyone out there, Stephanie Whiteman. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Bye.